Hi Barbies and hi Kens. Welcome back to another car review, and today of course we are talking about Barbie. And this movie comes from director Greta Gerwig off the heels of indie darlings like Lady Bird and Little Women, and it's starring Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Simu Liu, Kate McKinnon, a fully stacked cast. Fantastic cast. Anyway, I'm excited to talk about Barbie, so let's just jump right into this Barbie review.
What do I have to do? You have to go to the real world. You can go back to your regular life, or you can know the truth about the universe. The choice is now yours.
The first one, the high heel.
You have to want to know, okay? Do it again.
Closer I am fine. Closer I am fine.
So I went into Barbie with pretty high expectations, but at the same time, I had a tinge of doubt, right? Because the idea of a sort of meta commentary Barbie movie sounds really cool, but it also sounds like it could go horribly, horribly wrong, right? Like it could get too meta. It could, fall into the pits of capitalism where they just want to make and sell toys. It could have gone wrong on so many different levels. And I'm happy to say that this movie, it nailed it. It really, really nailed it. There's so much to love about this movie. First of all, I think the humor in this movie is hilarious. Non-stop humor, and the humor isn't like the quote-unquote Marvel humor that we hear about all the time now. Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? Those kind of things. It's definitely not that kind of humor. It's a little bit more I don't want to say highbrow because that's kind of lame, but I guess it is a little bit more highbrow, even though it is kind of like making jokes about how stupid these people are in a lot of ways. But I was impressed by the humor. I thought the humor was hilarious. The message of the movie surprised me with how well it was constructed and how in your face the point of the movie is. Straight up, they just say the patriarchy. The whole movie is about how the patriarchy is bad. And when you make a decision like that, like, hey, let's make a Barbie movie where we're actually poking fun at the patriarchy, you run the risk of almost coming off disingenuous. But I feel like after watching this movie, it is so genuine. It's a genuine message, and it doesn't necessarily like slap you over the head with it. It trusts the audience enough that like, hey, you're gonna get the message of this movie, and we're gonna continue to just kind of make jokes around that message. And I thought they completely nailed it. Margot Robbie is incredible in this movie. She turns in an excellent performance, a surprisingly good performance. One thing I will say about Margot Robbie's performance is you could kind of see her accent kind of coming through a little bit here and there, but it's nothing too bad. I thought Ryan Gosling as Ken was hilarious. The direction that they took his character was not what I expected, but I thought it was really funny how they did it. America Ferrera's character, she's kind of a human. She comes from the human world. She has one of the most poignant scenes in the movie. She gets a nice little speech, but my only gripe with it was, spoilers, she ends up going to the Barbie land, and I would have liked it more if they pushed the element of her being a real person. She kind of got to the Barbie land and sort of talked like the Barbies as well. So I would have liked if they kind of pushed that more human element in her a little bit more, but it's really hard to complain about because I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think Greta Gerwig is slowly becoming one of the classic directors. Like, we're going to look back at Greta Gerwig's work with some of the greats. I mean, we'll see how her career continues, but from Little Women to Lady Bird, now this, and she's really ramping it up. I remember she recently, I guess, said in an interview, she wants to kind of move her way into more high budget movies, which Barbie is definitely a high budget movie. I think it had a budget of $150 million. And some people were kind of upset by that because, you know, she's an indie filmmaker. But I'm out here saying, let her enter her Spielberg era, because she nailed it with this movie. With a movie that's so pink like this, you run the risk of sort of everything kind of blending together and getting it becoming muddled. But she did such an excellent job, and her crew did such a great job of making it look beautiful. I recently watched an interview where she talked about a bunch of films. I think it's an interview she did with Letterboxd. She did an interview breaking down a bunch of movies that influenced her while making this movie. And you could just tell that she has a love for filmmaking and for film in general. And I would love to just sit and watch a movie with her while she just sort of like explains the movie to me, to my like peanut-sized brain. I find it interesting that this comes out the same day as Oppenheimer, another one of our greats, Christopher Nolan. You know, Christopher Nolan has been around for a long time. You know, he's kind of reaching his peak now. Well, Greta Gerwig is starting on the upswing, you know, so it's kind of cool to see these two, what I think will be very influential directors, release movies at the same time. I hope they don't cannibalize each other, but I feel like there's a level of counter marketing here that works out pretty well for both of them. Ultimately, I thought this movie was great. I think everyone should see it. I think, unfortunately, I think this movie will be a huge content farm for right-wing weirdos. I've already seen a couple online where it's like, don't bring your daughter to see Barbie because it shows your daughter that she can do things. That's what this movie's really all about, is saying not just to women, but to everyone, you can be whatever you want to be. And I guess that, you know, there's a problematic history with Barbie, but the one positive message of Barbie since the beginning of time is it was always saying you could be whatever you want to be. And ultimately that is the heart of this movie, is you don't have to do what society tells you you have to do. You can do whatever you want. I thought this movie was great. I can't wait to see it again. And yes, I did see it before Oppenheimer, and I'm excited to see Oppenheimer as well. And I will see Oppenheimer. I'm sure I'll talk about Oppenheimer at some point on the channel, so look out for that. But I felt like this was the more important movie to talk about, at least in my opinion. The filmmaking was downright delightful, and so much so that like it wasn't even just the scenes in the Barbie land. When they got to the real world, there's like a car chase scene that I was like, wow, this is kind of impressive from Greta Gerwig, who's not necessarily known for doing like action scenes in her movies. She definitely delivered a pretty good action scene, a few different action scenes, as well as some like pretty impressive dance numbers and set pieces. Almost like this movie felt like an audition to get like a Marvel gig or a DC gig or a Star Wars gig almost. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if one of her next films is something in that realm, because this movie felt massive. I know that sounds funny because it's a Barbie movie, but it felt massive. And it was also really cool to be at the theater on the opening night, and it was just filled with people, and not just people showing up, you know, let's check out this movie. People were all wearing pink. Everyone was wearing Barbie shirts. People were dressing up as Barbie. Like, this is seriously like a cultural moment. And it's really cool to see. You don't see it a lot in the film industry, especially for a film that's not like superhero related. You know, I know this is a sort of a franchise film. You know, Barbie is a piece of content, but we haven't really seen like a Barbie movie before. So like, this is actually a really cool moment. We get to see people get excited about something more than just superhero movies. And don't get me wrong, I love superhero movies, obviously. Like, I do a lot of content on the channel on superhero movies. I collect comic books. But like, when it comes to films, it is a lot of superhero movies. And I'm not mad that there's a lot of superhero movies. What I'm not mad about, what I'm kind of saddened by, is that a lot of people only see those superhero movies. So for there finally to be a movie to kind of break that mold, is really awesome. And I have no doubt in my mind that this movie is going to make a ton of money at the box office. It's going to be a huge hit. It's going to boost Greta Gerwig's career exponentially. I swear she's gonna be huge after this movie. I'm telling you. And it's just really exciting. It's a really exciting movie. It's a really fun movie. As far as downsides, you know, I think Will Ferrell's character I thought was hilarious, but it felt like part of the movie was like cut out. Like, I feel like there was like a whole narrative about his character and his crew of people that he hangs out with in the movie that got like cut out of the movie or something, because he really felt like there was something, like some missing pieces there or something. But that is kind of the only real issue I have with the movie. I thought it was a great movie. I definitely recommend seeing it. See it soon. See it with a crowd of people. The crowds for this movie are wonderful. Everyone's just so delighted to see this movie, and that makes me feel delighted. So this is a historic moment in movies. As funny as it may sound, Oppenheimer and Barbie coming out at the same time. I know it's sort of a meme and a joke, but at the same time, this could be huge for the movie industry, which for the past few weeks, you know, during the summer box office, every movie's been flopping. You know, we look at Indiana Jones, huge flop. Even Mission Impossible last week didn't perform the way we would have expected it to perform. It was expected to make like $90 million. It ended up making like 60. The Flash, obviously, like a huge disaster. This could potentially be like the savior of the box office this summer, because this summer's box office has been pretty disappointing week over week. So this is very exciting stuff. I'm very happy I got to see this movie, and I love doing a review when I can just be downright positive about it. So that is my review of Barbie. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit subscribe. We go live over at twitch.tv/Lonercast all the time. Check us out. The live streams are also done on YouTube. You can check out our podcast, Last Week in Games, which is posted on YouTube. You can also find it on like Spotify and other podcast services. We do that weekly. It's a weekly video game show. I do these car reviews, not as much as I would have liked, but maybe in the future I'll do more of them if people want to see them. And, you know, the more support we can get for this channel, the more content we can put out. I've been working on this video that I will leave nameless for like a long time, but it's hard to work on the content without the support of the viewer, to be honest. And I really appreciate you being here. So thank you so much. And we'll catch you next time.